Hey, this is James.
And Bear.
And Bear's on a roll today.
Yeah,
So,
this is like take number 10.
Take number 10. You think this is easy? It's not.
No.
Okay, so let's talk about reality today. Can we talk about reality?
Yes.
What is real, Bear?
I don't know.
No, you don't know. She hasn't got a clue.
Nope.
And by the way, you probably don't either. There's three types of reality I'm going to suggest to you. We're going to suggest to you. There's objective reality, which says, Flo is a dog, and I can touch her and feel her. And then there's subjective reality, which says, oh, she's so nice and so sweet. But there's other people who would go, what the heck is up with that dog, right? And that's subjective. You better not. And then there's a third kind of reality, which is what?
Stories.
Stories. That's an interesting one. What are stories about?
Stories are about what we've been saying, whatever has been fed to us since the beginning of time.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at history is a bunch of stories, because typically the victor in a war puts together the history and it's seen and told from their perspective. What are some other big stories that are operating in the world right now?
You talking about COVID?
You sure? Go ahead. See, she doesn't know if she should say it. Go ahead. What's the big story?
Story right now is COVID-19.
There's a virus going around. And, the biggest virus that we're facing is not the COVID virus. We're not suggesting it's not real and it's not there. And what we will suggest is that the greatest virus is the mental virus, the freak out and the stress and the fear. Here's a story that's big. Money.
That's a big story.
Big story.
It's falling apart right now.
Yeah.
How weird is that?
Yeah. Well, the story is that money is valuable. It doesn't mean anything. And so at the end of the day, and we could talk on that. We're not going to take up a lot of time here today. But when you change your stories, you change your
life.
Yeah, because the story you've told, have you told yourself a lot of stories from your childhood?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just basically the stories that you tell yourself, are they objective or subjective?
Subjective.
Yeah, they're subjective to the perception and the experience that you thought you had when you were much less educated, much less aware, hopefully, than you are today. So with limited resources, we interpret things and then we tell ourselves stories over and over and over and over again. Exactly. And even when they don't serve us, in many cases they don't. So I hope this makes sense to you. And what we're going to challenge you to do is to look at your stories. Look at the stories that are being fed to you right now. Look at the stories that have been gifted to you. Look at the stories that you tell yourself, because again, when you change your story, you completely and totally change your... Yeah, she always gets to hit the hard point. So we thank you for tuning in today. Hopefully you'll take a look at your stories. It's an empowering thing to do. What do you got to say before we sign off?
I had it, but I lost it.
You had it, but you lost it? Are you telling yourself a story about it right now?
I'm trying to figure out what it was.
Trying to figure out.
Disclaimer. We're not saying that COVID-19 is not real. We are saying it's real. We're just saying don't freak out and don't panic. Because regardless of your fear or panic or being chaotic about it, it's still going to be here. So change that story. Take this time to be productive and do things that you always said you didn't have time for.
Yeah, and on the flip side, I will say to you, instead of don't freak out, I would say be calm. Instead of don't get stressed and worried, I would say be cool, be centered, know that you got this, okay? Let us know how we can help you have a masterful day. God bless.
Bye, guys.